All right, so I'm gonna need you to be honest with me. Have you been sinning? And when I mean sinning, I'm talking about financial sins. Now, maybe you are aware of financial sins that you're making, or maybe you're not. So in this video, I'm gonna go over 5 different popular financial sins that a lot of people do, and a lot of people get caught in, and a lot of people don't even know that they're doing. So let's go over them. They're not in any particular order, but if you are doing any of these sins, it is time to end them, flip them around, because they can really hurt your personal finances. So let's get into it. And if you're new here, my name's Raab. I make videos all about personal finance, so if you're interested in anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe. The first sin that I see is no emergency fund. You know, so many people are living that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle and they can't set aside any money. Or maybe they just don't even think about it. You know, they think that nothing bad can happen. And unfortunately, bad things are inevitable and things will happen, expenses will come up. So it is so important to set money aside for those emergencies and just prepare your finances in such a way that they can deal with any big issue that may come up, whether it be a health scare, you know, some extra expense that just comes up, or maybe a car repair, something happens in the house or something that needs to be repaired, and you got that emergency fund for those expenses that you weren't prepared for. Because if you don't have money set aside and you got to go find money somewhere else, then you might have to take out a loan, and that just, it runs into a whole bunch of other issues. So set money aside for the emergency fund. The second financial sin that I see all the time is credit card debt. Now, credit card debt is something that kind of creeps up on you because oftentimes it starts small, a little $10 here, a little $5 there that you can't quite pay off right away, and it gets slowly, it starts to grow more and more to the point where it's big enough that it's getting a whole bunch of money is added to it all the time because of that interest rate. You know, credit cards have a huge interest rate on it, and you know, you do not want to get caught in that snowball of debt that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So definitely do not want to run into that. You know, if you find yourself running down that kind of credit card spending more, you just got to cut up your credit cards, only use debit from there on out until everything is wiped clean. The third financial sin that I see a lot is living above one's pay grade. And this is just an instance of maybe you're not making that much money, but they're going out to eat all the time. You know, they're always going out on the town, they're always visiting new places and different things like that. And, you know, their Instagram photos look fantastic, but as far as the budget behind it, it's not looking so great because they're living above their pay grade. You know, they can't afford to live the lifestyle that they're living. You have to be honest with yourself to know the lifestyle that you can live, and sometimes that is a humbling thing. But if you want to make more money, there are different ways. You know, you can look into side hustles or different things like that, and if you want to make more money, but just know what you can afford. You know, you don't want to go into debt trying to live an extravagant lifestyle. That's not a good thing to do. The number 4 mistake that I see is when someone doesn't plan or budget. And oftentimes I see this in the form of they think they can keep it all in their head. And, you know, they're like, all right, I know all these little expenses, but inevitably, you know, with your finances, there's so much going on. There's so many different bills that you're paying. You know, money may be coming in through investments, through your job, maybe a side hustle here and there. And eventually it just gets a little too much to kind of handle all in your head. And even if you do, you're bound to miss something. You're bound to miss some expense, and that's not what you want to run into. So you want to make sure you at least have some form of budgeting down. So that way you can just get an overview of what's coming in, what's coming out, and then just generally planning your expenses, how much you want to spend, where you want to spend it. That way you can allot amounts for fun and a little bit of kind of entertainment and different things like that. It's when you go with no plan and you're kind of just running around just spending money with really no objective or kind of goal with your finances that you can run into trouble. So this one is all about planning and budgeting. You really got to do it. It can be simple. It can be a quick thing that you do on the weekend, or it could be a detailed budget if you like. Whatever you like, just at least have some form of it. The 5th sin that I see is they go into college debt with no plan. This is the kind of thing where, you know, they have this degree, and I meet a lot of people like this. You know, I am a college student. I actually go to UCLA, so go Bruins. But this is an instance where I meet people and they're going on a complete loan, meaning, you know, they didn't really get a scholarship, and, you know, they're just taking money out, spending it on every dollar of tuition. And it's rough because I kind of know how much they're going to make when they graduate. You know, I know what an entry-level position is and what it's going to make for them. And I just don't see any way they can pay it off, and they don't really have a plan for it. I mean, if you're going into debt and you have a plan, you're like, all right, this is how much I expect to be making, this is how many years it's going to take to pay off, then you're good. I don't worry about those people. But it's people that go in with really no plan. As far as the rule for college debt goes, there's really no perfect number of how much you should kind of take in. I like to say that the amount of college debt that you should all in all take on should be less than, or at least equal to, would be your cap, the salary that you expect entry level for year one into the real full-time job. So that should be the max you take, and that should kind of be your limiting factor. Now, for me, I kind of did college a little bit more of an unorthodox route. You can actually see the video I made about how I saved $40,000 with one decision. In that video, I talk about my decision and how I did college a little bit differently. Hint, hint, I went to community college before I transferred to university, and I now go to UCLA. So that's kind of a little bit of a spoiler video, but I go into a little bit more detail there if you're interested in anything like that. I highly recommend watching that video. You can learn a little bit about that process. But ultimately, that will wrap it up. So those are 5 financial sins that I see all the time. And oftentimes people don't even know that they're sins. They may seem as a little mistake, but they can be very detrimental to your finances in the long run. That's the crazy thing with finances. A little mistake can cause a rippling effect throughout your finances and can cause a lot of issues later on. So if you're doing anything like these, if you see yourself sinning like this, I highly recommend, just changing it in some way or just trying to get out of it as soon as possible. Putting a plan in place, hint, plan. Putting a plan in place to kind of negate or keep this from happening. And if you see any others, there's a bunch of financial sins out there. I tried to narrow it down to 5, but there are a lot more. So if there are any other big ones, I would love it if you would let me know in the comments below. Just let me know your general thoughts on it and just really any comments you have about this, any other ideas, or any other financial sins that I should know about. I would love if you'd let me know. So thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you're new here, my name is Calvin Raab. I make videos all about personal finance. So if you're interested in anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe. But that will wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. As always, my name is Calvin Raab, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. So I'm going to move to the corner of your screen here. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you are going to see my most recent video. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see a video that YouTube and I each think that you would like. And if you haven't yet, you can hit my face right here and subscribe. As always, my name is Calvin Raab, and I'll see you soon.